Morning, all. All right, so we're going to do the preview and the news all at once. We have two games on tonight. They are not games of consequence, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. The Bruins are apparently resting almost everybody. I saw the list of who's not playing tonight, and it's a long list, and here's why. Almost every team is really beat up right now. This is at the bottom of the board, but I want to point this out right off the bat. Almost every single team right now has played a really tough schedule, and there are a lot of injuries. So I see people saying, well, there's this guy out of the lineup next week, they'll be back for the playoffs. When I hear that, I think, yeah, but are they 100%? Probably not. So there's a lot of guys who are going to be in lineups for playoffs, and then as soon as teams start getting knocked out of the playoffs, we'll see a lot of those same players being shut down, not practicing, and either ending up having surgery or rehab in the offseason. There are a lot of banged up players right now. So for Boston, they're 33-15-7, cannot move up. Washington 35-15-5, cannot move down, cannot move up. So it's second versus third. And I don't think there'll be any message sending because both teams are icing rosters that are nowhere near healthy. Boston's won 4 out of 7. I'm wearing a Boston jersey, but I'm expecting a Washington victory, but I have no idea. I wanted to mention David Krejci, even though he's not playing tonight. He's one of the veterans that's out. 8 goals, 36 assists. We talk about Taylor Hall and how well he's fit, and he has, but it's also really turned around David Krejci. So Krejci might be playing the best hockey I've seen him play in a long time. Connor Sherry, 14 goals, 8 assists, might be called upon to play a larger role tonight than he otherwise would with all the players that aren't playing, although Backstrom's in the lineup. Carlson is not. So, yeah, and for the Caps, it's been an interesting ride, and for the Bruins, again, a lot of banged up players. Just because they're playing doesn't necessarily mean they're healthy. I always think back to the 94 Canucks and all the injuries that they were dealing with in that Stanley Cup final against the Rangers. They were all playing, but they were not 100%, which is fine because I'm sure the Rangers in that series also not 100%. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific with Vancouver Canucks, 21-26-3 in against the 28-23-3 Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg's won 5 out of 8 in this series. This wraps it up. JT Miller, 13 goals, 26 assists, 39 points, and I don't think there's anybody on the Canucks that I see more positive and negative posts about, sometimes within hours of one another. He made a great play. That was fantastic. Oh, he coughed up the puck. Oh, he sucks. Hey, that was a really nice goal. Really great that we have him in the lineup. These guys are a natural leader. Why do we still have him? Why isn't he gone? Why is he on the ice? It's fascinating to watch. Andrew Kopp, 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points, has had a fantastic season. And Winnipeg's going to have some decisions to make when it comes to who's going to be exposed in the expansion draft, how they're going to make this work, because they are probably going to lose a pretty good player. And maybe it will end up being Appleton. But Kopp's made things interesting for them this year because when they lost Laine, it feels like guys like Kopp stepped up and said, all right, well, I'll take that spot then. So yeah, let me know who you think wins these games in the comment section below. So news of the day. Carter Hart has recovered from an MCL sprain. I know the season is over, but they're saying he's 100% and good to go. He probably could have played last night if it was a game of consequence. And it's probably for the best if he gets as much rest as possible. Anyways, Philadelphia, what do they do with their goaltending in the offseason? Hey, we're back to that conversation again. Philly fans everywhere. It's back, right? So we'll see. Speaking of goaltending situations, tomorrow Gustafsson gets another start for Ottawa. He has definitely earned himself the right to play for them next year. Of course, they just signed Forsberg to a 1-year extension. And Matt Murray. Matt Murray is still out tomorrow night. And I honestly, I have to agree with, on TSN, they had the protected lists and saying Gustafsson probably gets protected for Ottawa. I agree. Matt Murray, if he's exposed, if Seattle picks him up, I don't think Ottawa necessarily misses a beat. And again, I understand that people want to write Ottawa off, but they're one of those teams that has really, really charged in the second half of the season. They've looked very good. And I think it's legit. A lot of their top-notch prospects have hit the lineup. Not all of their top-notch prospects are going to be stars. Definitely not. But the work ethic is there. And I think next year they're going to surprise some people. I really do. I think that Atlantic Division is going to be fantastic, and I think Ottawa is going to be in the mix. I'm not saying playoffs. It's way too early to say anything like that. We haven't gone through free agency. We haven't gone through expansion draft. We haven't gone through the draft itself. So there's a long way from now until next October to where, we're going to predict who's going to finish where. But Ottawa is definitely a much better team right now than they were at the start of the season. So, yeah, and I've been excited to watch the team's transformation from a really bad team to a pretty bad team, but they're still winning their share of games to, you know what, these guys are pretty good. Evander Kane said yesterday that he's relieved that the whole bankruptcy thing came out publicly. He feels better knowing that he doesn't have to hide from it. He can talk about it. And you know what else? For other people who may be going through the same thing, it can help. It can absolutely help to see somebody going through this, regardless of whether or not you can identify with the amount of money, you may identify with the situation. So, Kane's relieved that it's been made public. That's still in court. That could stay in court for a while. But his creditors aren't going to get the amount of money that they want. And that's essentially why it'll be in court for a while. Because they're not going to get what they want, and they're probably going to be mad and fight it as much as possible. Of course, the Battle of Florida will begin this weekend. We don't know the exact start date yet, but Florida has home ice advantage. Who saw that coming? Who saw Tampa Bay finishing third in that division? I remember when the divisions were revealed, and while everybody now says, "Oh, see, all the divisions turned out the way we thought they would," nobody had Tampa third. Nobody had Florida and Carolina ahead of Tampa. All I kept reading was, well, it's Tampa and a bunch of crap. Carolina's not bad, I guess, but that division's just awful. Tampa's just gonna steamroll that entire division, and they really haven't. So for Tampa, we'll see. And again, I know Tampa's gonna have guys coming back in the playoffs. So will Florida. Last night, Florida was playing without Bennett. They were playing without Hornquist. They've been missing Hornquist a lot lately, and Hornquist has been fantastic. The good news is that when Hornquist got hurt, they went out and they got Sam Bennett, and he's been excellent. But there's been injuries throughout the Florida lineup, and of course, they lost Ekblad at a point not too long ago, Ekblad being their best defenseman. And Mackenzie Weegar went, okay, I'll carry the defense then. So, yeah, every team in the league is dealing with major injuries, and it's part of how this schedule works. So many games over such a short period of time. There are a lot of guys who are really beat up right now. Tonight, Stastny will play his 1,000th game. He's doing that in a Winnipeg jersey. It'll be interesting to see if he's wearing a Winnipeg jersey next season or where he ends up. Stastny's been a decent fit, but I still feel like he was brought in to kind of play with Laine and maybe placate Laine, and now that Laine's gone to Columbus, does Stastny end up in Columbus? Columbus needs another center. I know he's 35 years of age. I know he's played 1,000 games. But could he end up being a fit for the Columbus Blue Jackets? Columbus is going to be looking to improve things in the offseason. I just wanted to mention, too, this is kind of funny to me. It really is, to me, one of the funniest things on this channel over the last 5 years. That I've been told that I'm too hard on the Canucks, and I don't believe in the Canucks. I'm not really a fan. And then, well, Shannon said this in this video because he's a Canuck fan, so he's biased in their favor, so he's going to say that because he's a Canuck fan. Well, it can't be both. I can't be biased both in favor and against. I have to say, going to these playoffs, I'm going to... Everybody, come in closer. Not that close. We still have a 6-foot rule. I don't care who wins the cup. I really don't. I'm just glad we're having a Stanley Cup. I'm glad we've had a season. I'm very proud of the work the players have put in this year in putting the season together. I'm excited for all these matchups. These divisional matchups are going to be fantastic. And I could not possibly care less who wins the cup. And yep, I'm a Bruins fan, and if they're out the first round, so be it. I am just excited to have playoff hockey. I don't care who made it, who didn't. The Canucks didn't make the playoffs. Well, we knew they weren't going to, and they had 19 games in 32 days. That's insane. And so they don't. And I'm okay with that. Because I do think that sometimes there are occasions where a team missing the playoffs can force change within the organization. And that's why I'm okay with it in Vancouver, because I think there does need to be some changes. And whether that's at the top, whether that's something somewhere else in the organization, I do think change needs to happen. And after a season like this, it might. The thing is, with the shutdown, with all of the other things that were going on this season and the way it was structured, ownership may look at it and say, you know what? This whole season's been a wash. We'll push everything off till next year and see if things get better. And yeah, I've watched this team for 40 years. That sounds about right. All right, so there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's exciting as the season winds down and we get to playoffs. I've already got 4 different boards made up for playoff series, and I think they look sharp. I'm happy about it, and I still don't have the bumper sticker for Nashville. I'm kind of a little nervous as we get closer to the weekend. Of course, I have to do the preview for each series, so there may end up not being a Nashville bumper sticker. I may have to draw one, and I can't draw their logo, so that would look terrible. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. But all right, thank you guys so much for all your support, passing 189,000 subscribers and hundreds being picked up a day. I don't know how many of them are the bots. Just for the record, there's been a bot problem on YouTube. I've got it filtered out, but it means that every, I'll say 6 hours, I have to go through the channel and delete about 50 or 60 comments that are being held for review that are from bots. It's getting aggravating. Really aggravating. I don't understand why it's not being fixed. There are ways to fix bot problems, because I've had bot problems on the channel that have just magically disappeared. So that means that YouTube figures out how to make that bot problem go away, and hopefully they figure out this one as well. But if you want to watch movies, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, you have Amazon Prime, you have various ways of going about it, and other websites that decide they're going to spam the comment sections on YouTube might be a scam. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're watching this, unless you're a bot, in which case, if you're a bot, please don't. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.